G-Roll Electronic Productions, baby.
Welcome. I'm JJ, the Psychotherapist. Thank you for joining me. I wanted to try a little something different. I'm going to be going over some grabby news clips. This is the first time I'm trying this out. We see how this works. So I'm basically going to play some news clips from Grambien. It's going to be going and just playing the one video after another. And I'm going to be giving my commentary on some of the news stuff that's floating around on the internet right now. I thought this would be kind of cool just to go over some video clips. We'll see how this goes. Before we get started, go ahead and hit that like button and let's get some likes up and go ahead and share this video out. Again, if y'all don't know me, if y'all new to the channel, thank you for joining. I'm JJ, the Psychotherapist. I used to have another channel that got deleted. If you want to know why, what happened, check out the Patreon. The link is in the description. Also, I have tons of Let's Go Brandon t-shirts. This is a long sleeve. We got long sleeve. We got t-shirts, different styles, different kinds. And I Will Not Comply shirts and a whole bunch of other stuff you can check out. The link for that merch is in the description. Also, all the shirts we do in-house. It's made in-house. And anything that you buy will support this 100%. Also, check out democrepublics.com where I post articles from time to time that I write. Check that stuff out there. And let's go ahead and get started. Let's get into some of these news clips. Again, this is from Grambien News.
Well, we've heard the anecdotes. Now we have the actual numbers. More than 600,000 people leaving New York and California for lower tax states during the pandemic. That's according to census data. California lost 300,000 residents between April of 2020 and July of 2021.
People are fleeing these left-leaning states like New York, California, Illinois, because it's too expensive. They're being overtaxed. Crime is high. And this is what happened when you got these liberal cities, these liberal states. And they running them into the ground, and it's evident. Even where I'm at, crime is going up tremendously. I may be in a red state, but I'm in a blue city that's definitely left leaning. George Soros sponsored DA out here is letting people be released out into criminals be released out into the public before they even go to trial. I mean, people that's committed a murder are getting released out on the streets and stuff like that. And then you got the high taxes. Of course, people vote with their dollars, so they're leaving. I just read an article today that Meta, used to be called Facebook, Meta is now moving out to Austin, Texas, because they're trying to get rid of some of those tax liabilities that they got in California. And this is what happened when you overtax, you lose businesses. Businesses are going to move, and that's what they're doing right now. Let me go ahead and continue the rest of this.
New York lost a net 365,000 people, about 2% of its total population. Now, the biggest winners, not surprisingly, were Texas and Florida, which have, of course, no income taxes. Texas gaining 382,000, Florida adding 243,000. Now, people move for many reasons: lower housing prices, lower cost of living with remote work. Their families may be there, but there is a continued shift from high tax to low tax states.
Notice they didn't mention anything about the crime.
Joining me now is Malcolm Nance. He's the author.
What this clip is here is Malcolm Nance. The biggest threat to American democracy is the delusion that 1/3 of Americans only believe Trump. So this is propaganda from MSNBC. So let's see what they say.
Author of the forthcoming book, They Want to Kill Americans, the malicious, terrorist, and deranged ideology of the Trump insurgency. I can think of no better.
This is lunacy. This is total lunacy. The thing is, most Americans don't believe any of this crap. That's why they're doing all the censorship and stuff like that, because most people don't believe in it. It's only people that live in their bubble in the coast areas and mainstream media, the only people that believe in this.
Title and no better person to talk to about this morning. Thank you, Malcolm, for being here. I'm just curious, from your expert perspective, what do you see as the biggest threat to American democracy today?
Well, the biggest threat to American democracy.
Hold on, before he get to his, let me say, I think the biggest threat to democracy is the Dems, the left. Look what they're doing with the voting stuff. They're trying to change the laws. They're trying to change the rules. And look in New York, they have illegal immigrants are able to vote, even though it's locally, but that's the start. They're able to vote in not even citizens of the state. It's crazy. And they're trying to change election laws when they don't want to ID people, where majority of Americans have no issue with being ID'd, being carded to vote. You have to have a ID for most things in this country, and yet they want to say it's people of color can't figure out how to get an ID to vote. Most states, if you can't afford, I say this numerous times, most states, I think pretty much every state, if you cannot afford an ID, the state will give you a state issue ID. They will give it to you for free. You won't have to pay for it. So there's no reason for you not to be ID'd when you get when you go vote. The only reason that you don't want to verify people is because you want people that that's illegal to vote. You want them to be able to vote. That's the only reason why you don't want to card someone. You card people for everything else, for stuff that you shouldn't need to be carded for. But when it comes to voting, they don't want to card you. I mean, that should send up red flags right there.
Democracy is the delusion that 1/3 of this country is living under, where they believe nothing they hear, unless it comes from the mouth of Donald Trump and is passed down through his sycophants in social media and in news media. That bubble that they...
Okay, if this is true, how come people attack his own people on the right, Republicans, people on the right, attack Trump for the whole jab stuff, for what he said about the whole jab stuff? If people are sycophants, how come he's being attacked for that? I mean, they just make this stuff up to sell books basically and get people in an uproar. But no one's falling for this. That's why they gotta try something else. They gotta go with the censorship stuff because no one is believing them.
They live in literally isolates them against any common sense, any rationale. The only thing that seems to break through, Tiffany, is when you see what happened to Ted Cruz yesterday, is when you refer to them, the insurrectionists of January 6th, as terrorists. That's the only thing that...
How can you refer to them as terrorists when no one during January 6th have been charged with terrorism? No one has been charged with an insurgency, but yet they call it this terrorism and they call it an insurgency. And when those are legal terms you can be charged with, no one has been charged with that. It's like misdemeanors, trespassing, and stuff like that. These people are sick by pushing this false narrative. They don't even believe this stuff.
It breaks through.
Can I just, since you brought that up, Malcolm, I do want to play a soundbite. It's baffling to me how Ted Cruz is able to walk around Capitol Hill without a spine. He's also able to legislate without sense, integrity, or character. Let's take a listen to what he said, his conversation.
That I agree with them on. Because I agree with them on, I can't believe that, but I actually agree with them on that. Ted Cruz has no spine. That's why he one minute he says that is... They're terrorists, and the next minute he was like, oh, I misspoke. I shouldn't have used that word. So I do agree with them on that.
Conversation with Tucker Carlson, and we'll talk about it on the other side.
We are approaching a solemn anniversary this week.
And I have to give it to Tucker Carlson. He did hold his feet to the fire and question him on like, hey, why are you saying the things that you say? You're telling us one thing and then you go on and saying something else when you on when you before the Congress. So that's great point that Tucker Carlson had made a couple days ago.
And it is an anniversary of a violent terrorist attack on the Capitol, where we saw the men and women of law enforcement demonstrate incredible courage.
The way I phrased things yesterday, it was sloppy and it was frankly dumb. And
I don't buy that. Whoa! I don't buy that.
He called it sloppy. I mean, you don't use the word terrorist or terrorism sloppily. You say it because you really feel that you really mean it at the time. And now he's backtracking is what it is. It's bullcrap, and I give it to Tucker Carlson. He called him out on it.
Look, I've known you a long time, since before you went to the Senate. You were a Supreme Court contender. You take words as seriously as any man who's ever served in the Senate. And every word you repeated that phrase. I do not believe that you used that accidentally. I just don't.
So, Tucker,
yeah, no one does. He didn't do it on accident.
as a result of my sloppy phrasing, it's caused a lot of people to misunderstand what I meant.
Sloppy phrasing, misunderstand. He is full of crap. You meant it. You probably really do believe these people are terrorists. Zirconical, I think. I hope I'm saying it right. What do you think the intention of the people on January 6th was? I don't think they had an intention. I think what happened was they followed the leader. People walked inside the building, and so people followed. I mean, yeah, they were upset, but I mean, look at it. They didn't really go out and destroy anything. They didn't. If you look at the so-called protests, the BLM protests, and all that other stuff, they went and actually destroyed stuff, set stuff on fire. None of that stuff happened on January 6th. DFKGF said hi. Hey, what's going on? But let's go back to this clip here.
Honestly, Malcolm, this is a cult. After everything this country has done to folks who look like you and me, here we sit, bigger patriots than those two half-witted individuals with their feigned outrage and lies to the American people. How does this persist?
Thanks for joining
DFKGF.
Go ahead and subscribe.
Well, it's going to persist so long as they have the ability.
I see that you're on Twitch. Go ahead and subscribe there on Twitch. Subscribe. Go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube too, because the YouTube I put out a bunch of stuff. And I also had a Patreon, as low as $2 a month, where I put tons and tons and tons of news stuff and stuff that I can't talk about here. I talk about on the Patreon, and it keep you informed. I'm telling you, I put out so much content, it's ridiculous.
To inject the poison of the cultism through the veins of the news media. They have an information sphere which is impenetrable, but they do represent only 30% of the country. The other 70% have to wake up.
He has it backwards. Remember the silent majority. You don't understand. Most people are normal. Most people can discern when people are being disingenuous. And in the country, that's why they're trying to prepare themselves for the red wave that's coming, because people see what happened when the left take over and have their policies. Look at the country. Just look at it. You can't deny it. DFKGF said, if you look back at 2017, look at the ABC poll on whether Trump was legitimately elected, it was about 6 to 8 points off of this one right now. Not that far off. Hillary Clinton asked in 2017, was Trump legitimately elected? Point blank, she did not say yes. That's true. She said she had questions. You think Democrats and Donald Trump run again, if Donald Trump wins in 2024, you think Democrats are going to think he was legitimately elected? Republics. Yeah. And you know, they are to this day in 2022 still saying that Trump was illegitimately elected. They're still saying that to this day, even with the reports, all the reports and all the fake Russian collusion we find, even though we've been saying it from the beginning. If you check out Republics on Odyssey, you can see back some of my old videos from years ago when we were saying the whole Russian collusion stuff was made up. And they still pushing this stuff in 2022. So in 2024, if Trump runs and Trump is elected, they're gonna call him illegitimate again. I think they're really trying to prevent him from running again. That's why they're doing all the stuff that they're doing right now with the January 6th stuff. DFKGF said 25% of Democrats said violence was acceptable in the polls in 2017. A third of Hillary Clinton voters said Donald Trump was not legitimately elected. Yep. Zercano said, so you think that they are there to disrupt the certification of the election? Yeah, pretty much. Let's go back to the clip.
They have to be mobilized. And I think that's what President Biden did this week. He finally sounded a clear clarion call that America is under attack. And I don't use those words irrationally, okay? I spent my entire career.
He's right. America is under attack, but not from the January 6 people, not from people on the right. America is under attack from globalists. America is under attack from China, the ones that introduced the stupid 19. We're under attack from the globalists. That's why we're under attack from the mainstream media. That's why they all on the same accord, pushing the same party line and squashing any type of dissent. Anyone that speaks against the narrative is getting censored on all the major platforms. And why I don't know why people can't see that. It's blatant. It's in your face.
Here in the Navy and in intelligence, warning this nation about clear and present dangers to the Constitution and to our citizens. This is a clear and present danger. They do not believe in the Constitution as it was written. They have some bizarre...
See, everything he's saying is what they believe, though. That's what makes it so funny. That's what makes it so ironic. This is what they're saying. They're the ones that's saying trying to destroy capitalism. They're the ones trying to that's destroying small businesses with all their mandates. They're the ones that's doing all of this, and it's classic projection.
Our misimpression of whatever Donald Trump seems to think it is. They are loyal to a man, not to the nation. And so long as they believe that Donald Trump...
See, they still talking about Donald Trump this, Donald Trump that. They're not talking about how Joe Biden is the one. He's the president right now. Supposedly, he's the one in charge. Look at what's going on. They're not talking about the economy and how black unemployment is falling right now under him, and how we prospered under Trump. They're totally ignoring all of that stuff, but and projecting everything that Joe Biden is doing. They're projecting it onto Trump, and he's not even in office.
Is the embodiment of America and the America they want. There are already, we've seen many incidents over the last few years where they will kill to make that point. Right now, they're simmering. And the only question is, will we be able to stop them, or will we be able to allow them, come this November, if we lose the 2022 election, allow their political body to radicalize them further and bring this nation to dictatorship?
Well, that...
Wow. All right, so the next clip here is DeSantis. If Biden brings illegal immigrants to Florida, I will send them to Delaware. That's what DeSantis said, which is awesome. So let's play this.
Not a chance, and that's why they do it at 2 or 3 in the morning. And so we had a circumstance in Florida where they brought in a flight of people that had come illegally across the border. One of the guys they brought in to Northeast Florida ended up murdering somebody in the community. And so obviously he's not securing the border, which is a problem. But then to farm out people into communities all across the country is imposing huge costs on Florida and other states. And so what we've said is a number of things. One, we have sued Biden, and we have a case in federal court. 2, I'm asking money for the legislature so that if we do get wind of these flights, and we haven't had flights in the last couple months since this has become a big issue, but we do anticipate they're going to try again. We have money that if they drop in Jacksonville, let's say, I'll pay for buses, and we will send to Delaware or some of these other places. And then they'll know that Florida's...
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I think every state should do that. Every state that's getting these illegal immigrants in should ship them to Biden's state. That's what they should do.
Not a good place to do it. We're also going to impose some, I guess, restitution on the companies that are bringing them in with the federal government. These are contractors. But
wow, that's big right there. Yeah, these people that, I mean, because that's the incentive. These businesses want the cheap labor, so they're helping bring these people in.
Companies, whatever, we're going to charge them per head a restitution, because when you bring somebody in, there's a whole host of costs that go along with that: education, healthcare, social services, unfortunately, sometimes criminal justice. So we're going to be doing that and enacting that in the legislative session. We're also going to say to these companies,
I love that. I love that they're doing that. That's great. Like I said, every state should do that.
you can't do business with the state of Florida or any local community if you're facilitating, which is effectively a massive human smuggling operation. That's what Biden's doing. The people that are coming across,
yeah, a bunch of
most of them are not Mexicans. They are from all over the world.
That's what's so crazy. We seen the videos with Qurans and stuff on the ground. We seen a bunch of Asians come through. We seen a bunch of people from Africa come through the southern border because they know it's wide open. Who knows what we got coming through these borders? It's not just South Americans, like you said, coming through these borders. It's people from all over the world that, because it's so porous, they're coming right through. And I read another article, I think it was yesterday or day before. Biden won't release how many people are coming through the border. He's refusing to release that information. So we can only imagine.
The signal has gone out: just get to that southern border and you are home free to get into the United States. Don't apply normally, go through that way. And so that's what you're seeing. And we had people there last summer helping Texas, and we were happy to do that. But the problem that we ran into is, if you capture...
Fair use, fair use. Again, go ahead and hit that like button, share this out. And if you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe, and check out the Patreon. If you like to donate, you can donate at Democrat Republics through PayPal or JSite on Cash App. We appreciate all your donations. Again, 100% fund this.
Captured someone who was coming illegally only, didn't have drugs or anything else, you turn them over to the feds, then the feds would put them on a plane or put them on a bus and send them all across the country. So that was not helping the cause. And so now we're in a situation where we're really looking to keep Biden's policies out of Florida and impose some restitution on people who are helping to facilitate his policies.
You know, I often wonder.
All right, let's see. This next clip,
gentleladies,
is Nancy Pelosi calls for electoral reform following the 2004 elections. Wow, I don't know why this clip is on here. So let's skip this one. Let's see what's next.
but all
we're going to have windmills. You're going to see.
Right. This is Biden touring wildfire damage in Colorado. All right. I'm not going to watch this clip. Let's see what else we got.
About some of this in the...
I've actually seen this clip earlier. It's a great clip. Super duper surprise. Oh no, this is not the clip I thought it was. I'm sorry. This is Oliver Ducey says a lot in media have been out of touch. No, this is the video I thought it was. Oliver Darcy says a lot in media have been out of touch with public about the stupid. So let's check this out. And it's true. I think they're slowly releasing some of the information that they've been withholding and they've been censoring people like myself for. I'm starting to see a slow trickle of the real information come out.
About some of this in the Reliable Sources newsletter. Here's a big, overly broad question for you, okay? Is the media at this point out of touch with the public about COVID?
I think it's...
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because people aren't believing the party line anymore. Because it's in your face. We're seeing what's happening with the stupids. We're seeing that just because you get the jab, it doesn't really mean that you're not going to transmit it. We know that you're going to transmit it, and we know that it does nothing really against the variants. We got plenty of studies that show this, and people are seeing it. People are seeing friends that's triple, quadruple jab still getting in there. Like, wait a minute, what's going on? They said that this wasn't going to happen. So people are waking up to it. I mean, it's only. I mean, people. I always say people are stupid, but but sometimes it's obvious where you have to go with the obvious. Sometimes you can't be that dumb where you ignore the total obvious when it's in your face. And some of this stuff is in your face. I was on the Hill earlier today. I normally don't do this, but I was arguing with people, but I was showing them the studies. Instead of me, I was saying everything that they were saying, like I was agreeing with them, and then I would show them a study that showed the exact opposite of what they were saying, and they were like, "Wait a minute, what's going on here?" It was pretty funny. I normally don't do that stuff, but I did today. I felt compelled to do it today. But let's go back to this.
It's hard to argue that the media is a large group of people, but a lot of the media does seem, when I look at it and then travel the country, to be very out of touch with people. I mean, if you travel the country, people are not really.
Yeah. They are very out of touch. They live in a bubble. The media lives in a bubble and not in touch with reality. Don't know how to socialize or react to normal people. And that's why they're getting flamed on the internet. And that's why they have to do the censor. Zirconical said, no, they didn't. They said it was effective against the earlier strains for transmission. However, the newer strains, it is much less effective. What, in transmission? No, it does not prevent the transmission. You can look at the studies for yourself. I mean, I'm not going to argue. I got like hundreds of studies. Look at everyone that's getting it, that's got the jab. It doesn't prevent you from getting it. They even CDC admit that it doesn't prevent you from getting it. So I'm not going to argue with you. You can believe that it can stop you from getting it. Oh, that's what I said. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were saying something totally different. My apologies, Zircano. You agreeing with me? Yeah, it doesn't. It's not effective against transmission for the newer strains. It wasn't effective for the transmission against the original strain either. It didn't stop the transmission. It was significantly. It was insignificant. The difference was insignificant. However, very effective in preventing serious illness. That's what they say. I mean, I'm not gonna get into that. I have a bunch of studies. If you want to check out the studies for yourself or some of my commentary on it, you can check out my Patreon. It's just $2, and check out. I post different research studies and stuff like that. Again, if you don't know about myself, I am a researcher. I'm a peer-reviewed researcher. I have peer-reviewed papers in a couple journals. So I mean, I don't try to brag. I'm not trying to brag about it or anything. I'm just trying to say that when it comes to research, I know what I'm doing. I know how to read these studies, and a lot of the stuff that they claim, these media outlets claim that these studies say, when you actually read it for yourself and look at it for yourself, and if you a statistician like myself and know how to read this stuff, you would know that it doesn't really match up. But I do break down some of these studies on my Patreon. In link are enabled. Yeah, it's enabled. Washington Examiner, known Capitol riot leaders spend the 1 day in jail. Yeah, I'll check that out in a second. Let me finish with this clip here.
Living in the same bubble that it seems that most of the media is messaging toward, and so yeah, and so I think this is an issue, because if people are tuning out what's going on in cable news, if we're not messaging toward the general population, they're just ignoring everything and living their lives.
He sounds like he's pretty upset about it. They're just ignoring everything and living their lives while we're living in fear. We're hunkered down and can't do anything unless you're AOC fleeing off to Florida and catching the stupids.
And we're not really getting the information that they need to them.
It's ridiculous.
Do you know how many?
Clip here is ask how many deaths from the stupid, not just with stupid. Walensky says data will be forthcoming. I actually did I quoted her on a couple of my own videos that she basically said the exact opposite of what the Supreme Justice Sotomayor was saying. You could tell she's unaware, either she's unaware or she's lying. She don't know anything about the data. She's just making stuff. I don't know where she came up with that number where she said 100,000 children died. Where did she get that from? I mean, I still baffled. Zircona says, seems you're only willing to discuss half the story than to support your view. What story are you talking about? What story that support my view? I'm a researcher. I don't look for supporting my view. I look for disproving stuff. That's what science is. Science is not, and see, that's what they teach you in 101 when you learn about research and stuff. You may come up with a hypothesis, but what you do is you go out to disprove your hypothesis, because you can never prove something. You can only disprove something. And if you cannot disprove something, then that's considered to be I don't want to use the word true, but it's considered to be likely if you can't disprove it. That's what science, that's basically what science is. You try to disprove something. And when I go in with my research and try to disprove narratives, I can disprove their narratives with research, with studies, with data. And the thing is, with censorship, they won't allow you to disprove that main narrative. And that's not science. And yes, I understand the null hypothesis work. That's great. You just said you won't discuss studies that show jabs massively reduce serious. I didn't say I won't discuss it. I said I have already discussed it on my Patreon. I said I'm not going to get into it right now because of censorship. So if you want to know some of my thoughts, and I have reviewed the studies that you're talking about, and you can check them out on my Patreon, where I review them in depth. It's just I don't want to do it here because I've been over this before and got my channel deleted. I had a few thousand subscribers, so I'm not gonna get into that now on this channel. So again, if you want to discuss that stuff further, I have to pay for that. It's just $2, bruh. It's just $2. I mean, it's not that serious. It's just $2. It's $2 a month, and we can have a discussion. I don't mind debating you or talking to you for $2. I mean, come on, bruh. I got that change in my cushion right now, so it is what it is. My time is not free, bruh. I am a mental health therapist. I charge way more than $2. So for me to, all I'm charging you is $2, and we can have that discussion, bro. My time is worth money. You know what I'm saying? I charge a lot of money for my time. And if you want therapy, you can hit me up for that too. But if you can't afford my Patreon, you damn sure can't afford my therapy. So let's go back to this clip.
Of the 836,000 deaths in the U.S. linked to COVID are from COVID, or how many are with COVID, but they had other comorbidities? Do you have that breakdown?
Yes, of course. With Omicron, we're following that very carefully. Our death registry, of course, takes a few weeks to collect. And of course, Omicron has just been with us for a few weeks, but those data will be forthcoming.
I mean, I remember in Watergate.
So data is forthcoming. I look forward to that data, so I can scrutinize it, and as I said earlier, disprove it, which won't be hard to do, because they're working on a false narrative. But all right, Joy Behar said Republicans taking over the House and Senate in the midterms will be the beginning of the end of this country. Didn't they say this? Didn't they say this in what was it? When Trump was elected? Didn't they say that? They said if he get elected, it's going to be the end, and everyone was talking about moving. But then we was prosperous up until the pandemic. So you go with what you want on that. Zerkani said, "Oh, I can afford it, buddy. I just don't think it's worth at $2. Considering you won't even discuss things like this with new views, I would go find another streamer. Peace. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. It's just, I just don't want to get into the whole stupid 19 thing, because it's not that I don't want to talk about it. It's because I've talked about it before and got my channel deleted. So unless you're a troll, you're trying to get me to delete it. I mean, I'm not gonna do it though. I really don't like. It's not that I don't want to have a discussion. It's just I don't want to have a discussion here. It's not worth me losing another channel behind it. That's all it is, man. Or lady. I don't know if you're a man or a lady, but it's got nothing to do with that. I have no problem discussing this stuff. And I have no problem. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I mean, and I have no problem in changing how changing what I think about or what I believe things when I get new information. I'm not like that. I changed my mind on several things. I used to be a super duper leftist back in the day. So I mean, I changed. That's what happened. You take in new data, and you go off of the new data that you have. All right, let's go back to this clip.
It took a long time before they actually nailed all these people. It doesn't happen that fast. The wheels of justice grind slowly. I'm not losing hope yet, but I will worry in November if the Republicans take over the House and the Senate. That will be the beginning of the end for this country. Okay, tonight, Dave.
Hyperbole much? Hyperbole much.
Exactly. That's exactly what I hear.
All right, this is MSNBC. It's Brzezinski. She said, our job is to control exactly what people think. Isn't this an older one? I think this is an older clip. Why is this coming up now? Maybe somebody reclipped this or something. But I swear she said this before. But they tell you, I mean, they got to be on. See, that's the thing. The Bible talks about this. They have to. The devil has to tell you what he's going to do to you before he do it, and that's exactly what this is. Not that I'm calling Brzezinski the devil or anything like that. She might just not be aware of her evil, but our job is to control exactly what people think. So they're telling you. The media is straight up telling you our job is to form what you're thinking for you, not to give you the information so you could critically think and on your own. No. Our job is to tell you what to think.
Yamiche just said is what I hear from all the Trump supporters that I talk to who were Trump voters and are still Trump supporters. They go, yeah, you guys are going crazy. He's doing, what are you so surprised about? He's doing exactly what he said he's going to do.
Well, and I think that the dangerous, edges here are that he's trying to undermine the media, trying to make up his own facts. And it could be that while unemployment and the economy worsens, he could have undermined the messaging so much that
Fair use.
he can actually control exactly what people think, and that is our job.
Yeah, if you look at the issues.
Did y'all catch that? She said he thinks he can control what people think. She said that is our job. All right, this is Biden greets Colorado wildfire victims by telling them we're about to pick the basketball teams. What? I have no idea what this is about. That's weird.
Hey, folks, we're about to pick the basketball teams right now, so I get first pick. Hey,
I don't get it. All right, it's Dr. Malone. I don't know if this is going to be censored or not, but it is what it is. He said that he's double jab, won't take the third. I'm gonna skip that one, because we know how YouTube is, so I will skip this one. But basically, he said he's not taking the third. He said, "Fool me once, fool me twice." He can fool me a third time. So, all right. Now,
speaking of athletes,
This is here, NBC reporter. Some claim there is little scientific evidence that transgender women have a physical advantage in sports after transitioning. I mean, it's been many studies that disprove that statement. They said if you hit puberty or something like that, you still have the broad shoulders, all of that stuff can be used to an advantage, even if you transition, especially if you transition later on in life.
Here's another one who's a star, Leah Thompson. Last month, the swimmer at the University of Pennsylvania set 2 different Ivy League records. Her critics are furious, saying she shouldn't even be allowed to compete. That's because Leah Thomas is transgender and at the epicenter of this culture war, you could call it. Tomorrow is her final home meet of the season. She'll face off against Dartmouth and Yale. Both Penn Athletics and the Ivy League have put out statements supporting Leah. But, of course, she is just the latest.
She lost that last one, to another transgender. I think it was a transgender male. So we're going to go to the next clip. All right, this is Mo Brooks. I never saw a single protester engage in illegal conduct in January 6th. I think this is going to be the last one because I think the rest of them are a little older clips. I might get on a little bit later and just go over some news articles. I'm not sure yet. We'll see what the day brings. But let's play this last clip here.
You know, COVID would have been the only story this week if it was not for the 1-year anniversary of January 6th. And the president's speech made it pretty clear that Democrats want to keep January 6th in the spotlight come election time. And you might run into some of that yourself in your Senate run. This week, a former staffer for Kevin McCarthy.
That's what this is all about. They want to keep the January 6th in people's heads until the midterms. Real quick, DFKGF said, do Democrats really fear a return of Trump? Oh, yeah, they do. If they are on the side of the people and pushing policies that voters like, why would they be terrified of a defeated rival who has been universally vilified by the media? Because they know none of that stuff worked. They know their policies suck, and people are living in their policy. They're living in their policy right now, and we're bearing the fruits of their policy. And people will rather deal with Trump than deal with the terrible stuff that's going on right now. You said DFKGF said see this link I gave you if you can before you leave. All right, so I'm gonna play the rest of this and I'll pull up this link.
They claimed that you had cheered on the rioters. He said Mo Brooks, for example, was glad. He was cheering on the fact that the 117th Congress started this way. That was much to the dismay of others in the room. Is that true, sir?
Well, let's be clear. He's no longer a McCarthy staffer. He is now with Pelosi Republican Liz Cheney. And to the extent Mr. O'Toole is trying to suggest that I in any way, shape, or form cheered on the violence that occurred on the United States Capitol, he is lying. First, I never, on January the 6th, from the time the riot started to the time it ended, saw a single protester or saw a single person engaged in illegal conduct in the United States Capitol.
There you go, right there. Everything they're saying is made up. Tell them, Mo Brooks.
Second, though, is this. The United States Capitol is full of security cameras. They're everywhere. The Capitol complex has them everywhere. There are thousands of hours of footage. If there was 1 second of footage of Mo Brooks cheering on some kind of illegal conduct, you better believe that it had already been made public.
No joke. They would have released, somebody would have leaked it to the media. It would have been all over the interweb and everywhere.
It hasn't been made public because it doesn't exist. And this particular staffer should apologize for his mischaracterization of what transpired.
These people are horrible. It's not a mischaracterization. It's a flat out lie. They flat out lied.
And if he had honor, he would resign.
Do you have any regrets, sir, about your conduct that day or any of the headlines that have come out since then, including, you wore body armor that day? Go ahead.
I don't control what the fake news media puts out there. Okay, I can't. Like you bring up body armor. I wore body armor at the Ellipse rally on the advice of my staff at the request of my wife and because of concern.
All right, so that's we get the gist of that. I know I was gonna just stick to clips, but I got a great article by that DFKGF sent me. So before I head out, I am gonna go over this article real quick. Known Capitol riot leader spent 1 day in jail while 80 others languished in DC gulag. Yeah, so he's probably a fed, pretty much. He's a wannabe music star who boasts about being an insurrectionist in social media accounts filled with curse-filled rants against former President Donald Trump. You would think the January 6th march on the Capitol would be the last place to find John Early Sullivan, yet the 27-year-old was seen continuously spurring on violence that day by pushing the crowd forward. Now, this is the example that I was talking about. People didn't know what was going on. They just they followed everyone else into the building, and he was probably one of the main people help spur people or push people into the Capitol. But he was just feet away from veteran Ashanti Babbitt when she was shot dead by a Capitol police officer outside the House chamber. Court records show, and even sold video he shot of the incident for $90,000. Wow. But unlike some 80 of the individuals who have been in prison for up to 300 days for storming the Capitol, Sullivan has been allowed to go home to Utah while awaiting trial date on 8 criminal counts. So how come he gets to go? One of the protesters who has been in jail the longest, Kenneth Harrelson, is accused of pushing into the Capitol behind the mob. He stayed inside 18 minutes walking around and taking photographs, and has been accused of and has not been accused of any violence in court documents reviewed by the Washington Examiner. So why? I mean, they literally have in some cities people committing murder and getting bail. But these January 6 people that all they did was walk around the daggone Capitol building, they are still in jail. It makes absolutely no sense to me. Well, if you think about it, it does make sense because they went in on the oligarchy, and this is what you get. It's okay to set fire to businesses. It's okay to, but if you come step foot into that Capitol building, there's a whole nother game. They'll come for you. That's basically what they're saying. The article goes on to say, in contrast, Sullivan carried a knife into the Capitol. So he carried a knife and offered to use it, broke a window, and ordered officers to leave their posts where he would soon film Babbitt getting shot. But he's out. This dude was carrying weapons and he's out. But people that just walked around the building are still locked up. He was the head of a group, Insurgents USA, which sounds like Antifa and Black Lives Matter. Rep. Marjorie Taylor Greene told the Washington Examiner, John Sullivan is a professional rioter, and he is actually being treated really well in the two-tier justice system of America. And I've been talking about that two-tier justice system forever. If you got a D next to your name, you can get away with any crime. Greene recently toured the Washington, D.C. jail, referred to by prisoners there as the D.C. Gulag. She claimed January 6 prisoners are denied medical care, visitors, religious freedom, and basic grooming standards. I mean, it's just horrible. You hear the stories about all this. But basically, it basically just proves that if you're a liberal, if you got a D next to your name, you can commit these crimes, you can burn down buildings, and nothing will happen to you. But if you got an R next to your name, you consider a alt-right, they're going to throw the book at you. But I appreciate that, DFKGF. If you're not subscribed already, man, or lady, I don't know, go ahead and subscribe. Subscribe not only to the Twitch. I see you over here at Twitch. That's awesome. Subscribe to the YouTube, because the YouTube you're going to get a lot more content. I do videos daily. Bunch of videos daily. And also, if you're not subscribed to my Patreon, sign up for the Patreon over there, where we could talk, we can go into more depth conversations. I'm active, really active on Patreon daily, put tons of content there. And if you like to donate, You can donate. The link is in the description through PayPal, or you can donate through Cash App, JPsych. PayPal is at DemocRepublics. Again, links in the description. Appreciate y'all listening. Till next time. Peace.